I'm Norman Robinson, and welcome to Affordable Housing Matters. On today's show, we will explore the new programs and plans in place for community development in Jefferson Parish. They have new programs, new grants, and valuable information. And we have a great show planned today. So don't go far.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
The Jefferson Parish Community Development Department is a multi-layered department that assists residents with first-time home buyer training, disaster recovery, lead hazard reduction grant programs, and numerous other programs to help facilitate home ownership and residential safety. Joining me now to further discuss their organization is the Director of the Jefferson Parish Community Development Agency, Ms. Stephanie Brumfield, and Mr. Jonathan Whipple, the Jefferson Parish Department of Community Development Administrative Specialist in lead. Thank you all for being here this morning. I really appreciate you showing up for this particular program, because as I understand, the topic that we're going to tackle first has to do with lead hazard reduction, and that's Mr. Whipple's bailiwick. So what is it that our viewers need to know in Jefferson Parish about lead hazard reduction?
Yeah, so thanks for having us. Right now actually is October 23rd through the 29th is National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week. And so that is a joint initiative between HUD, the EPA, and the CDC to bring together agencies, industries from different sectors of the private sector to raise awareness on lead poisoning prevention and the different resources that are available out there for the community.
Now, that surprises me because I'm a layman and I don't really understand a lot about this, but I hadn't heard a lot about lead poisoning. So I'm assuming, just as a novice, that that's something that is not as prevalent anymore. So I'm mistaken?
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception, you know, that a lot of times when I tell people that, you know, I work in lead poisoning prevention, they say, you know, wow, I can't believe that that is still an issue. You know, they think that that is something of the past. But the reality is it is still one of the #1 environmental hazards, especially for young children in Louisiana. And so the reason for that is because lead-based paint wasn't banned by the federal government until 1978. And so any house built before 1978 has the potential of having lead-based paint. And the older the house is, the more likely it is to have lead-based paint.
And this is especially important for people who are first-time home buyers.
Absolutely.
Who might find themselves faced with a situation where they're confronted with lead-based walls.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the reality is that, you know, we know that in Louisiana we have a lot of older housing stock here. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to promote this lead grant program that we have, and we have this funding to offer to the residents of Jefferson Parish. We also cover St. Charles Parish. And so basically it's the Lead Hazard Reduction Grant Program. It is from HUD's Office of Lead Hazard Control and Healthy Homes. It's $3 million that we received with an additional $300,000 for Healthy Home Supplemental Funding. And basically what the grant allows us to do is offer lead-based paint inspections at no cost to identify lead hazards in the home, and then also bring in certified lead abatement contractors to do the lead paint removal, or what we call lead hazard control work.
So how might I go about getting this assistance?
So we have a website. It's www.jeffparish.net/leadsafe. And we have a lot of information on that webpage about our program. We have an application there that you can submit. We also have a lot of information about lead poisoning prevention, lead-based paint, and different resources that are out there. And so basically the process looks like, you know, if someone's interested in applying, They would submit that application to us and we would review it. We have intake specialists that can help folks through the application phase. It is a federal grant program, so it is a little bit cumbersome. There's a lot of paperwork and documentation that's required.
There's no surprise there with the federal government, a lot of paperwork.
Right. So that's why we have intake specialists to kind of help folks through that process. And so once they get through the application process and they're able to submit that application, we review it, and qualifications based on income. So depending on how many people live in the house, it is dependent on that income. So we're really focusing on low-income families right now, especially families that have young children, whether they either visit the house or live at the house. And so that's our target audience right now, is low-income families with young children.
And you say, you were telling me before we began the recording, that you haven't had a lot of applicants as of yet.
Yeah, that's really why we're here today with you, is we want to try and promote the grant program. It's a really excellent program that allows us to provide healthy and safe lead hazard control methods to, prevent childhood lead exposure and to keep, our families healthy and safe.
How much of that are you seeing out there now in your experience?
So, I mean, generally, I would say that most of the folks that are applying, they are qualifying. We are finding some lead out there, but we really are trying to focus our efforts on certain neighborhoods that we know have a lot of older housing stock. So right now we're looking at places like Gretna, Old Harvey, Marrero, Wagamon's, and West Wego. We've had a couple of houses that we've already done in the Metairie and Jefferson area, and even Kenner. We've found some houses out there that have tested positive for lead.
So what if I'm not a homeowner? Do I still qualify?
Yeah, so like I said, the actually qualification is based on the occupants. So occupants can apply. The income is based on the occupants, not necessarily the homeowner. It is available to rental property owners, but we're really focusing on owner-occupied units. But the qualification is based on the occupants, not the homeowner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do understand. I just wanted to clear up that just because you don't own a home doesn't mean you don't qualify.
Right. If
you live in an apartment, you still qualify.
Yes.
Do you have to get the landlord's permission?
Yeah, I mean, everything is going to be signed off by the landlord, So we do try and engage the landlords as early as possible in the process. But I don't want anyone to think that should prevent them from looking into whether or not they qualify.
So how long of a process am I looking at in regards to time parameters?
It really depends on the case, but generally I would say between 2 and 3 months from intake to finalizing the project. To go in a little bit more about the process, we talked about the intake phase. After an applicant has been deemed eligible, we would then send a referral out to a certified lead risk assessment firm that we have under contract. They're environmental consultants. Basically, they would go out and do all the testing at the house. The testing includes a full lead-based paint inspection to determine the presence of lead inside, outside the house. So they do full testing of every painted component from top to bottom, inside and out. They're also going to take dust wipe samples and soil samples. And a little bit about that is the reason why they're testing for lead-contaminated dust is that is the #1 way that most children get affected by lead, is through ingesting lead-contaminated dust. And that comes from deteriorated lead-based paint or even lead-contaminated soil being tracked inside the house. So that's why we're testing for that. So they're also going to be testing the water. And so once all of the testing is done, they're going to generate a report. Once they get all the results, and that report will show all their findings and then offer some recommendations on how to address the hazards that they were able to identify. They're also going to do a full Healthy Homes assessment. So this is the Healthy Homes supplemental piece that we have. And that they're going to do a full healthy and safety check on the house. So they're going to be looking things like mold, asbestos, pest control, home security, electrical hazards, fire hazards, tripping hazards. There's a 29-point chart that basically they go through when they enter these houses that are going to be looking for all these different health and safety issues. So they're going to get a full picture of what the family's needs are based on what's at that house.
That sounds like a pretty thorough inspection.
Yeah, definitely, and so that's it's a really great program. And like I said, it's a free program. It's a no cost to the property owners or the occupants. So it really can help address any health and safety issues that are present. We're really focusing on lead-based paint, though. So we really want to encourage folks that are living in older homes, that especially with young children, to look into qualifying.
So give us the means of contacting you again, so the viewers can make a note of that.
Okay.
Because a lot of times I hear reporters go, "Okay, you can look up this webpage and whatever," and it's like 3 seconds is gone.
So yeah, we have a website. It's the jeffparish.net/leadsafe. But really, if you just do a quick web search for Jefferson Lead Safe, we're the first one that pops up.
Jefferson Lead Safe.
And yeah, and you click on that, take you directly to our webpage, and we have the application there. We have a list of qualification criteria, so you can determine whether or not you qualify. And like I said, a whole host of other information and resources out there about lead and lead-based paint and lead poisoning prevention.
All right. Well, thank you for this education about lead paint poisoning. And Ms. Brumfield, we haven't forgotten about you. now that we've found out how to keep our homes safe and healthy as it relates to getting rid of lead poisoning, how do we get into a home? I'm a first-time home buyer, so I'm looking at your first-time home buyer program. What is that?
Yes, so currently our first-time home buyer program is open to Jefferson Parish residents who are low to moderate income. You can get up to $50,000 in assistance, and you would have to income qualify to get this grant.
And when you say income qualify, what does that really mean? You bureaucrats do a lot of talk like that. What does income qualify really mean?
Okay, well, you would have to meet the income qualifications designed by HUD, which is our grantee, our grantor. So you would have to meet those income qualifications, and those are posted on our website.
Okay, now suppose I don't want to wait to go to the website and Google that or look it up, and I'm watching Ms. Brumfield right now. So what are my guidelines as far as my income qualifications? Is there cap? Is there a cutoff? Is there a starting point?
Yes, we like to. We work with people between 50% and 80%, and a median. So you would have to visit the website to get the numbers.
So when you talk about 50 and 80% of the median income,
yes,
that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Of the median income.
Yes, and those are posted on our website.
Okay, and so once I'm qualified, then what?
Okay, well, you would have to first take a first-time home buyers class and then work with an approved lender. Once you work with your approved lender, they will walk you through the process of getting the grant.
Okay, so I got to take a class.
Yes. Yes.
So I got to go through some steps.
Yes, you have to take a financial fitness class and a first-time home buyers class by a certified trainer. And then once you take those classes, you can go to an approved lender, and then they will guide you through the rest of the process.
Now, do I have to find my own instructor? Is there, or is Jefferson Community Development providing me with the?
Well, we do provide you with a list of instructors, and so if you visit the website, you can click on that list, and a whole bunch of lenders will pop up. A whole bunch of trainers will pop up.
A whole bunch. So it's it's like I have to be the initiator of this whole process.
Yes, sir.
So there's not going to be anybody who comes in to hold my hand
No.
and walk me through the system. It's something, and it starts online.
Yes, go visit the website. Easy. It's really easy. All the steps are there. It shows you what steps you need to take, where you can find a certified trainer, and from there, that trainer will guide you to getting the grant.
Okay, now, I've done my due diligence. I've gotten the trainer. I've found a loan officer. Okay, so how much money can I get?
You can get up to $50,000.
$50,000. That's a down payment?
That's a down payment or closing costs, or for closing costs.
All right, $50,000.
Yes.
And are there any allowances being made for the current housing market? I mean, it's like, you know, the price of housing has skyrocketed. It's almost crazy.
It has.
It's almost insane.
It really is.
So this program, I take it, has not made any allowances.
No.
So we're stuck with the
$50,000.
with the basic fundamentals here. Is like
Yes, sir.
like $50,000,
Yes, sir.
and that's it. That's what we start with.
Yes, sir. But if you're in Kenner, you may be able to get up to $60,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's different if I live in Kenner.
Yeah. Well, if you want to purchase a home in
Oh,
Kenner.
if you want to purchase a home
Yes, sir.
in Kenner, I see. It
Yes.
doesn't make it doesn't depend on where you live. It's where you buy.
Yes, sir.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Y'all tricky like that, huh? So now, am I limited to the kind of house I can get in terms of? I mean, or what are we looking at? Are we looking at houses that fall into a certain category?
Yes, we are looking at
Okay,
houses.
tell me about that.
Okay, so we are looking for houses under $250,000 for this program. And yeah, we don't want to put a homeowner, a low to moderate homeowner, in a situation where they purchase a home that they can't afford. So we do have to go by HUD's guidelines of how much we can pay for a home.
So $250,000, that's the limit.
Yes.
So if I want if I find a house and it's $300,000, I'm just totally out of the ballpark.
Yes.
$250,000.
Yes.
Well, that puts a pretty that puts a pretty big, line of delineation into what I can afford.
It really does, especially with the housing market right now. It's not that great, but there are some homes out there that you can buy within that range.
Now, is there help available from you guys in terms of finding these houses?
No, that is something that the homeowner would have to do on their own.
Okay. Again, I have to have some self-initiative.
Yes.
To do this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do I learn this in home ownership training
Yep.
class? So they're
Yes.
going to teach me how to do all of this.
They're going to teach you all the
Oh,
steps.
okay. So I'm not going to walk out there empty-handed in terms of how much information and knowledge I need about going through this process of being a first-time home buyer.
No, you're going to learn everything with your trainer who's certified to give you the training.
Now, have you gone through this training process?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. But I know it's an easy process, and the people that we work with can help you navigate your way to getting this grant. Because we want people to get this grant.
Yeah.
We want to help people.
Yeah. How popular is this particular program? How many applicants are you getting on average?
I can say, since we've opened the program, we haven't gotten that many. And I do think it's because of the housing market right now and the interest rates that we're seeing. But we want to encourage people to buy. And that's why we're here today, to talk to you, to get the word out that there is money to help you purchase a home.
And as I was asking Mr. Whipple, I'm going to ask you the same thing. Tell me how I can go about applying for this particular first-time homebuyer program.
Okay, well, you can visit our website at www.jeffparish.net, and you can go under the Community Development tab, and go under first-time home buyers, and you'll see everything. All the steps are listed there for you.
So how long a process are we talking about? You know, when you put somebody through the entire progress with you know, the home training stuff, how much time am I going to spend as a first-time applicant?
I would say it's going to depend on the applicant, because you're going to have to do some work on your own. So it would depend on the applicant.
So am I looking at, even if it's depending on, I'm a smart person, right? Okay. Oh, this is hypothetically speaking. I'm a smart person, and so I do all the things that I'm supposed to do. So what are we talking about? Months? A year?
Not a year, maybe a month or two, but it solely depends on the applicant. You got to go and get the classes. You got to go take the classes. You need to find a lender. You know, some people need to do things to get their credit up, or whatever they need to do to get their credit score higher. So it depends on the applicant, you know.
Okay. Well, thanks to both of you for coming in to share about the lead paint abatement program, and you, Ms. Brumfield, about the first-time home buyer program in Jefferson Parish. And good luck to you, and let us know how you're doing. Let us know, basically, we're interested in whether people have found out something about your programs through viewership of this show.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So keep in touch with us.
Will do.
All right, will do.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
Coming up after this break, we preview a documentary about a long-lost community once located in an historic battlefield. Don't go far.
I'm Leslie Hoffman. To raise healthier kids, try not to use food as a reward. While it can be tempting to use unhealthy treats like cookies and candy to reward good behavior, parents should do so sparingly. While the occasional treat is fine, try alternative rewards such as extra playtime at the playground or extra time reading them a story.
Fazanville was a community located on the Chalmette battlefield for over 100 years. It was a community that many didn't know about, but the producers at WLAE learned of its legacy, and through the arts of motion pictures brought a once forgotten community back to life. We present to you the trailer for Battlegrounds, the lost city of Fazanville.
Fazanville was almost a self-sustaining community. It had its own little grocery stores. You had bars, a number of them. And in addition to that, you had recreation.
The National Cemetery was to your left. It was behind us. And the monument was in front of us. But we were in the middle.
They wanted it to kind of bring back some of the pomp and circumstance that used to be around celebrating the Battle of New Orleans.
They wanted to make way to open up that whole area, the Chalmette battlefield, and that's what they did.
I think that Fazanville was just something that some people just didn't want to see there.
He had just built that house, and he said, I'm not leaving my house.
People were actually crying in church because they knew that they were going to have to pick up and go someplace else. There was nothing that they could do.
You know, I could never figure out what was the reason for wanting to make people move away from there, you know. It's kind of hard to buck the government, you know. They say go, you gotta go.
I've always been referred to as the Second Battle of New Orleans. You know, these people lost their battle, you know, on that same field.
It needs to be told. The story needs to be told.
I was 5 when Fazanville was no more. I didn't really realize what had happened or why. I just knew that it wasn't there anymore. I know we had folks in my neighborhood who had moved from Fazanville. Also, my babysitter was from Fazanville. We called her Aunt Julia. We always had a feeling that we were somehow connected to the village, but we didn't know the connection until other folks started doing research on the community.
And she actually signs there.
And this is at St. Louis Cathedral?
St. Louis Cathedral.
Baptism? And identified my great-great-grandfather as the founder. The community is so much more important than all of that. What they did and what they became far supersedes any importance of my relatives' part in the history of the village.
Woody Keim came to me, and it was important to him to tell the story of the residents there. We were coming up on an anniversary of the founding of Fazanville. The Park Service wanted to commemorate this in some way. And their idea was they were going to have a series of facilitated talks where they were going to bring former residents in and, you know, people who had an interest in the story of Fazanville. And then, you know, I asked, a question, simple question. Does anybody have any pictures of this? Now, of course, the residents, they had gone through Hurricane Betsy. That wiped out a lot of photos. And then, you know, years later, there was Hurricane Katrina, wiped out those pictures, you know, that might have been left. We leave the meeting and we don't, you know, really have a line on do we have pictures or not. So 6 months later, I'm sitting in my office and the receptionist comes in and she says, someone just dropped off this disc. It's a disc that has, you know, written on it, Fazanville pics. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And all of a sudden, the village just comes to life. Here's a chance for us to tell it from their words and really to tell the complete story as best we can.
You can view Battlegrounds, the lost city of Fazanville, on Wednesday, November 2nd at 8 p.m. and on the WLAE-TV YouTube page in the coming weeks. That will conclude Affordable Housing Matters for today. We would again like to thank Ms. Stephanie Brumfield and Mr. Jonathan Whipple of Jefferson Parish Community Development for joining us on today's program. And remember, if you would like to rewatch this or any other past episodes of our program, just take your phone and click on the QR code on the screen. Once directed to the site, you can view all of our programs at your leisure. I'm Norman Robinson, and thank you for watching Affordable Housing Matters.